relationships between perimeters and areas of similar triangles. Again, it's about relationships between perimeters and areas of similar triangles. So we are here going to discuss how the perimeters and areas of similar triangles relates to each other. And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain and did it my way. Yes, we're getting near to the end of the third grading period and also getting nearer for the end of the school year. So after this third grading period, fourth grading na, and malalagpasan din natin yung uh, school year na to na iba sa ating lahat, 'di ba? Na different from the usual na way of learning and teaching. So, konting tiis na lang. So, uh, kapit pa. So, ang goal natin is dapat lahat ma-achieve yung makapag uh, maka-angat or makapunta to the next level. So sana yung mga pawala-wala, nawawala-wala paminsan-minsan. So sana mapag-isip-isip ninyo na yung panahon ngayon is different. So you have to exert effort for you to go to the next level. So kasi malapit na rin ako matapos, konting tiis na lang. Alam naman natin lahat, syempre sino yung mga masisipag, so they will get good grades. Pero yung mga hindi, sana maisip pa nila, since meron pa naman isang grading period, to do their best. Kasi sabi nga, I did it my way. So you have to do it your way. So, kailangan gawin. Sino bang gagawa niyan? Kundi kayo rin lang, di ba? You have to do it your way. So dapat gawin nyo, if you are going to do it your way, gawin nyo yung tamang gawin. O yung kung ano yung dapat gawin. Since hindi pa tapos naman yung school year natin, so you have to do all the things that you need to do para at least man lang mapataas yung grades ninyo na mabababa. And for the others na medyo okay na yung grades matataas, so you just have to maintain it or make it higher. So ganun lang naman yan eh. Sa pasasaan ba, hopefully, matapos natin to ng safe time lahat and mawala na yung virus na kumakalat sa buong mundo and hopefully soon we'll go back to normal. Yung usual natin. So habang hindi pa, so kailangan natin sumunod kung ano yung way of learning and way of teaching na binibigay sa atin. Kasi kayo rin naman magiging kawawa if education will stop. So dapat continuous pa rin yung education so that nag-grow pa rin ang lahat. So again, malapit na tayo matapos. Masasaan ba matatapos din tayo? At makikita nyo na yung fruit of your labor in the end. Okay? So let's continue now our discussion. We are now on lesson number 12. So lesson number 12 natin will focus on relationships between perimeters and areas of similar triangles. Again, it's about relationships between perimeters and areas of similar triangles. So we are here going to discuss how the perimeters and areas of similar triangles relates to each other. So since similarity is about since studying similarity uh, is is quite um, new to us, but once we know uh, solving proportion, so malalaman natin that solving problems involving similarity pala is just quite easy to understand. Because once you know solving proportion, that means you know already problems which involves similarity. So that's why we have here, actually these are also kinds of verbal problems. Verbal problems ang given natin dito wherein uh, we are going to discuss how perimeters and areas of similar triangles relates to each other. Isama na rin natin yung corresponding sides of it. So, to formally start it, we do have three conditions on involving perimeters and areas of similar triangles. So what are the three conditions here? So the three conditions are, number one, condition number one. So we do have, sabi dito, the ratio of the perimeter of two similar triangles is equal to the ratio of any parts of corresponding sides. So if you are going to analyze the statement, it's just like we are also going to form a proportion. Because we do have here two ratios which are equal ratios. So, sabi natin, yung when we form a proportion, yung dalawang given ratios na yun are equal to each other. So again, it's just like we are also forming here a proportion. So sabi dito, the ratio of the perimeter of two similar triangles, perimeter ng two similar triangles, form a ratio of it, equal daw yun to the ratio of any parts of corresponding sides. So if we're going to write that into symbol, that would be the same as this. So perimeter of, for example, triangle ABC over perimeter of triangle DEF. That's the ratio of the perimeter of two similar triangles. Equal daw yun to the ratio of any parts of corresponding sides. So, side A is corresponding to side B. Side B is corresponding to side E. Side C is corresponding to side F. Usually, small letters ang ginagamit natin if we are pertaining to the side. Pero pwede rin tayong gumamit ng capital letters, pero dalawang letter siya. Na side AB is corresponding to side DE. So, but if we do have if we are going to put a name for that side, pwede natin gamitin yung small letter. Side A, yun yung katapat ng angle A. Side B, katapat sa side B is katapat ng angle B. Side C is katapat ng angle C. Ganun din yung sa triangle DEF. Equal daw yung ratio of any parts. So it can be A over D, can be B over E, can be C over F. So kahit ano dyan sa tatlo, if we are talking about the ratio of the perimeter of two similar triangles, equal yan to the ratio of any parts of corresponding sides. So, yun yung pinatutungkulan ng condition number one. So, basically, yung condition number one, para madali nyo matandaan, it is talking about perimeter and the corresponding sides of similar triangles. Next, condition number two. In condition number 2, sabi dito, if two triangles are similar, then the ratio of their areas is equal to the squares of the ratio of the lengths of any two corresponding sides. So this time in condition number 2, we are talking about the areas of the two similar triangles. So this time, yung ratio daw of the areas of two similar triangles is equal daw to the squares of the ratio of the lengths of any two corresponding sides. So basically, condition number 2 is talking about the areas and corresponding sides. Condition number 1 is talking about perimeter and corresponding sides. So if we're going to write condition number 2 into symbols, that will be the same as the area of triangle ABC, for example, over area of triangle DEF. Ayun yung areas of two similar triangles natin. Equal daw yan to the squares of the ratio of the lengths of any two corresponding sides. Diba sabi natin, yung corresponding side can be written in capital letters, yun nga lang, through segment form. That would be segment AB is corresponding to segment BE, segment BC corresponding to segment EF, segment AC is corresponding to segment DF. So AB over DE, BC over EF, then AC over DF. But it's the square of it. So para maging equal yung ratio of the areas of two similar triangles, so dapat yung ratio of the lengths of any two corresponding sides is square natin. We have to find out the square of it so that it will be equal to the areas of two similar triangles. So kahit ano on these three corresponding sides, as long as we are going to square it, that will be equal to the areas of the two given similar triangles. So yun naman, pinatutungkulan ng condition number 2. Next, condition number 3. So condition number 3, sabi dito, the ratio of the areas of two similar triangles is equal to the squares of the ratio of the corresponding perimeters. So if you are going to analyze it, yung condition number 3 naman talks about areas and perimeters of two given similar triangles. So balikan natin, yung una is about perimeters and corresponding sides. Yung pangalawa is about areas and corresponding sides. Yung pangatlo is about areas and perimeters of the two similar triangles. So ulitin ko lang, the ratio of the areas of two similar triangles is equal to the squares of the ratio of the corresponding perimeters. So if we're going to write that in symbol, that will be the same as this. So area of triangle ABC, for example, over area of triangle DF, that's the areas of two given similar triangles, equal daw yon to the squares of the ratio of corresponding perimeters. For example, perimeter of triangle ABC over perimeter of triangle DF, quantity squared. So magiging equal lang yung ratio ng areas of similar triangles kapag is to the perimeters if we are going to square the ratio of its perimeters. So ayun naman yung sa condition number 3. So these conditions yung gagamitin natin in order for us to answer examples in this lesson. Basta always remember, condition number 1 is talking about perimeters and corresponding sides. Condition number 2 is talking about areas and corresponding sides. Then condition number 3 is talking about areas and perimeters of two similar triangles. So to apply these conditions, let's do that through examples. Let's have example number 1. So sabi ito, the problem is, the corresponding sides of similar triangles are 3 centimeters and 5 centimeters. If the perimeter of the smaller triangle is 18 centimeters, find the perimeter of the larger triangle. So if you are going to analyze the problem, so the problem is talking about perimeter and corresponding sides. So saan napapaloob yung problem na to on the three conditions? Is it condition 1, condition number 2, or condition number 3? So yung example number 1, kapaloob siya sa condition number 1. So condition number 1, which is talking about perimeter and corresponding sides of similar triangles. So sabi itong corresponding sides of similar triangles are 3 centimeters and 5 centimeters. So yung 3 centimeters sa smaller triangle yon, while 5 centimeters is for the larger triangle. If the perimeter of the smaller triangle, given naman perimeter ng small triangle which is 18 centimeters, find the perimeter of the larger triangle. So syempre, when we form the ratio, kung ang numerator mo ay for the smaller triangle, and ang denominator mo is for the larger triangle. Ganun din sa kabila. Ang numerator mo dapat ay for the smaller triangle, then your denominator is for the larger triangle. So that if we're going to solve for this, for our solution, so we will form a proportion na sinasabi yung ratio of the perimeter is equal to the ratio of its corresponding size. That's what condition number 1. That is what mentioned in condition number 1. So that we can form here a proportion as 3 over 5 is equal to 18 over x. Pwede naman mag-interchange yun eh. Yung measure of its perimeter. Ito yung perimeter. 18 smaller triangle over x. That is what we are looking for the larger triangle. Equal daw yon to the ratio of its corresponding sides. 3 yung measure ng corresponding side ng smaller triangle, while 5 sa larger triangle. So we can form the proportion 3 over 5 is equal to 18 over x. So what we are going to do to solve this given equation is to apply fundamental law of proportion or apply what we call cross multiplication. So 3 times x here, we come up with 3x, then 3 5 times 80 will have 90. So that will come up with 3x is equal to 90. Then to solve for x, since it is still accompanied by a 3, so to remove 3, we still have to divide both sides of the equation by 3. So cancel out the 3 now, x will be left. So what we are going to do is simply divide 90 by 3. And 90 is exactly divisible by 3. So that will come up with the value of x as 30. So the unit of measurement involved in the problem is in terms of centimeters. So the answer should be equal to 30 centimeters. So madaling salita, the ratio or the measure of the perimeter of the larger triangle is equal to 30 centimeters. So that's how we solve example number 1. Did you get that? So if not, let's try another example. Let's have example number 2. Sabi dito, example number 2, if the area of triangle ABC is equal to 50 square centimeters and the area of triangle EFG is 128 square centimeters, find BC over FG. Ano ba yung BC over FG? If you're going to look at the given triangle, triangle ABC and triangle EFG, yun ay kanyang corresponding sides, ratio of the corresponding sides. So it is just like in this problem, we are looking for the ratio of the corresponding sides. So given the areas of the two given similar triangles. So if you're going to analyze the problem, kung saan siya nakapaloob ngayon? Is it condition number 1, 2, or 3? So nakapaloob siya on condition number 2. Kasi condition number 2 is talking about areas and corresponding sides of similar triangles. So paano natin isosolve yun? Diba, according to the condition, the areas daw of two similar triangles is equal to the squares of its the squares of the ratio of its corresponding sides. So magiging equal yung area ng dalawang given triangles natin dito if we're going to square the ratio of its corresponding sides. Ang corresponding sides natin given ay BC over FG. So that if we're going to solve for it, so we can form the proportion na 50 over 128. That's 50 is the perimeter, the area of smaller triangle, while 128 is the area of the larger triangle given in the problem. Magiging equal daw yon to the squares of the ratio of its corresponding sides. The corresponding sides given there is BC over FG, so quantities squared. So what we are looking for is the ratio of its corresponding size. Ano yung value of BC over FG? So paano natin gagawin to? So ang unang gagawin natin is, so what we are going to do first is to get the square root of both sides of the equation for us to remove the square here so that BC over FG is what will be left. So magiging ganito. So let's try to get the square root of both sides. Pag kinuha natin the square root of both sides, maka-cancel out na yung 2 rito, tsaka yung square root sa magiging BC over FG na lang. Then it will be square root of 50 over 128. So pwede siyang paghiwalayin as square root of 50 over the square root of 128. Both of them are non-perfect squares, but both has factors wherein one of its factors are perfect squares. So pwede na kaagad natin sa factor. Ang 50, ang factors niya ay 25 times 2. While 128, ang tamang factors niya ay 64 times 2. So if we're going to rewrite it, magiging ganito. So BC over FG na lang matitira is equal to square root of 25 times 2 and square root of 64 times 2. Since both of them are to be multiplied by 2, that 2 now will be eliminated. It's just like we divided it. So that will be equal to 1 now. So matitira na lang is the square root of 25 over the square root of 64. And it so happened that both of them are perfect squares. Ano ba square root ng 25? That would be 5 and the square root of 64 is 8. So that BC over FG is equal to 5 over 8. So what we are looking for in the problem is BC over FG. So it is just like we are pertaining to the ratio of its corresponding sides. And the ratio of its corresponding sides is equal to 5 over 8. So that's how we answer example number 2. Did you get example number 2? If not yet, let's try another example. Let's have example number 3 now. Example number 3. So the given problem is, the perimeter of two similar triangles are 4 units and 10 units. If the area of the second triangle is 225 square units, what is the area of the first triangle? Okay, I suppose that the area that we are looking for is the area of the smaller triangle. Okay, so that's the first triangle. Because based on the first sentence in the problem, the perimeter of two similar triangles are 4 units and 10 units. So 4 units yung smaller na una, 10 units yung sa pangalawa. So, kung una ang pangalawa pag nag-uusapan, kung second ay 225, so we are pertaining to the larger triangle there. Then the area of the first triangle, that is what we are looking for, which is the area of the smaller triangle. Okay? So this problem, nakapaloob naman siya sa condition number 3. Because this problem is talking about areas and perimeters of two given similar triangles. And according to the condition, the areas of two similar triangles is equal to the squares of its perimeters. The squares of its perimeters. The square ng perimeters para maging equal yung area of the ratio of the area of two similar triangles, equal dapat yun to the ratio of its perimeters. The squares, rather, the squares of the ratio of its perimeters. So that if we're going to solve for it, so we can form proportion na x over 225. Bakit ang ganun? We are looking for the area of the first triangle, which is the smaller triangle, I suppose, over 225. Equal daw yon to the perimeters, the squares of its perimeters. Ang perimeters ng smaller, perimeter ng smaller triangle ay 4, the larger is 10. And square of it, para maging equal yan to its areas. The ratio of the areas of the two similar triangles. So dito, as you can see, pwedeng hindi mo muna i-distribute yung 2 on both numerator and denominator because as you can see, 4 and 10 can still be simplified. Pwede na kaagad natin ma-lowest term yun so that mas mababang numbers na may encounter natin. So pag ni-lowest term natin yung 4 over 10, magiging, both are divisible by 2, magiging 2 over 5. So yung 2 over 5 na gagamitin natin, na i-square natin both numerator and denominator. So magiging ganito. X over 225 is equal to 2 squared, that would be 4, then 5 squared, that's 5 times 5, that would be 25. Then, saka natin ngayon i-apply through cross multiplication. Kasi wala na tayong involved na square dyan na-remove na natin yun or na-simplify na natin. So, dito tayo ngayon mag-start ng cross multiplication. So, na natin x times 25, that would be 25x. Then, 4 times 225, it will be equal to 900. So, 25x is equal to 900. Then, from there, so since x is still accompanied by 25, so we still have to divide both sides of the equation by 25. So 25 will be cancelled out. X will be left is equal to 900 over 25. And 900 is exactly divisible by 225. By 25 rather. And 900 divided by 25 is equal to 36. And since we are going to find out for the area of the smaller triangle, so it should be 36. And since the unit of measurement involved there is just simply unit, so it should be in square units. So it should be the area of the smaller triangle is 36 square units. So that's how we answer example number 3. So did you get example number 3? So, para mas matandaan pa yung discussion for today, let's answer more examples. Let's have example number 4. Let's read. Example number 4, sabi dito, the problem is the corresponding sides of similar triangles are 15 inches and 18 inches. What is the perimeter of the smaller triangle if the perimeter of the larger triangle is 102 inches? So analyzing the problem, so as you can see, the problem involves perimeters and corresponding sides. So on the 3 conditions, nakapaloob siya on condition number 1, wherein the ratio of the perimeters of similar triangles is equal to the ratio of any corresponding sides. So, ang hinahanap natin for this problem is the ratio or the measure of the perimeter rather of the smaller triangle with a given measure of its corresponding size, 15 inches for the smaller triangle and 18 inches for the larger triangle. So that if we are going to solve for this example, so we will form proportion na 15 over 18 is equal to x over 102. Bakit naging ganon? Yung corresponding sides na 15 over 18, this is 15 is for the smaller triangle, 18 is for the larger triangle, and it will be equal to what we are looking for is the perimeter of the smaller triangle given yung perimeter of the larger triangle. So, x over 102. Yung nasa denominator, ayun yung for the larger triangle. Yung mga nasa numerator naman, ayun yung for the smaller triangle. Pwede yan magkabaliktad, basta parehas sila yung nasa numerator and denominator. Okay? Then from there, since 15 over 18 for us to solve it involving smaller numbers, let us try to simplify first or reduce 15 over 18 to the lowest term. So if we're going to reduce 15 over 18, both 15 and 18 are divisible by 3. So that will come up with the lowest term of it as 5 over 6. So instead of using 15 over 18, we're going to make use of 5 over 6. So let's apply now cross multiplication. That would be 6 times x, then equal to 5 times 102. So we'll come up with 6x is equal to 510. Then since x is still accompanied by 6, so we still have to divide both sides of the equation by 6. So 6 will be cancelled out, x will be left. Then it will be equal to 510 over 6. And again, 510 is exactly divisible by 6. So that will come up with the value of x, which is equal to 85. Since the unit of measurement involved in the problem is in terms of inches, so the answer should be 85 inches. So therefore, we can say that the perimeter of the smaller triangle is equal to 85 inches. So that's how we answer example number 4. Is there any question with that example? So if none, let's try another example. Let's have example number 5. Example number 5 natin, the problem is this. So if the areas of two similar triangles are 144 square centimeters and 225 square centimeters, find the ratio of their corresponding sides. Example number 5 is similar to example number 2. Kanina na sinagutan natin. What we are getting here is the ratio of the corresponding sides, given the measure of the areas of two similar triangles. That is 144 square centimeters and 225 square centimeters respectively. 144, I guess, is for the smaller triangle. Then 225 square meters is for the larger triangle. So we're going to find the ratio of their corresponding sides. So, example number 5, if we're going to look back on the condition, so, nandun siya sa condition number 2, which is about the condition talking about the areas and the corresponding sides. So, to solve for this, since we do not know the name of the triangles, so gamitin natin yung triangle na given natin doon sa una, triangle ABC and triangle DEF. So if you are looking for its corresponding sides, kahit ano sa corresponding sides na binigay natin doon, side AB over DE or BC over EF and AC over DF. Pwedeng ganun yung gamitin natin. So for our solution, so we'll come up with 144 over 225. That's the ratio of the areas of two similar triangles. So 144 over 225 is the ratio of two the ratio of the areas of two similar triangles. While AB over DE, that is the corresponding sides. So for it to be equal to the ratio of the areas, it should be the square of that corresponding sides. So we made use of AB over DE quantity squared. You can make use also of BC over EF or AC over DF. Kasi since wala naman binanggit na name of the triangle there, so pwede natin gumamit ng name for that triangle, size of that triangle. So, ginamit natin ang AB over DE, quantity squared. So, just like how we solved number 2, so let us remove first square here. That is by getting the square root of both sides of the equation. So, pag ginawa natin both sides, square root of both sides, this square root sign will be cancelled out as well as these two. Matitira ay AB over DE. So, magiging ganito. And it so happened that 144 and 225 is our perfect squares. So, pwede siya paghiwalay, square root of 144 over square root of 225. So, square root of 144, that would be 12, or square root of 225, that would be 15. So, ang ano natin is 12 over 15 is equal to AB over D. But as you can see, 12 over 15 is a fraction which is not yet in its simplest form. So we still have to write it, we still have to simplify that given ratio, so that will come up with, so we come up with the value of AB over DE, which is equal to 4 over 5. Bakit naging ganon? Because both 12 and 15 are divisible by 3. Both of them are divisible by 3. So to find its lowest term, 12 divided by 3, that would be 4. Then 15 divided by 3, that would be 5. So since we are pertaining to the ratio of its corresponding sides, so the ratio of the corresponding sides of two given similar triangles whose areas are 144 and 144 square meters and 225 square meters respectively is 4 over 5. So that is what we are looking for in problem number 5. Did you get example number 5? Any questions? So if there are no more questions, that would be all for today. Goodbye, class!